Welcome back, everyone, to episode 25 of the Illegal Formation podcast for our Week 14 reaction. I am your host, Scooter. Joining me today is that one dude, Dan, the Eagles fan, up in the upper left-hand corner, and then below me is Joey, the Cowboys fan, but he's repping the Perk Rogers today, New York Jets style.
Aaron Rodgers in a Jets jersey. How
How
about that?
How you guys doing today? You did you enjoy the Week 14 games?
Bro, it was pretty fire. I can't lie. For a lot of not too exciting games, they were pretty kind of exciting. I
Today
can't bullshit
is
you, but
Joey, how'd you feel about the Week 14 games?
To a certain extent, I agree with Danny. I feel like there's some bad games today, some boring games. But other than that, pretty entertaining.
Yeah, there was some nasty weather in some of the games, leading to some ugly football. But I think overall, the impact that some of these games had on the playoffs and stuff was definitely noteworthy. So let's start off by talking about one of those, and that is going to be Colts Jaguars. Joey, this was your game, so why don't you lead us off and take us to your biggest takeaways on this one?
Biggest takeaway for Colts Jaguars. Oh yeah, Daniel Jones. His Achilles was torn today. The Colts season looks to be terminated, and the Jags overall played some good football. I think it's funny how good their offense is and don't even utilize BTJ the way they did last year. Jacoby Myers appears to have stepped right into their wide receiver one duty, which I thought was pretty intriguing to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, back to the Colts, I just think I don't know what to think. I mean, I think it's pretty horrible what's going on, and I think this opens the door for Anthony Richardson to maybe, build his stock back up, because we know the Colts have a good team. So what can Anthony Richardson look like for this Colts team? Top 5 pick. He's only in year 3. They have him under control for next year as well. So interesting timing overall for everything. Prayers to Daniel Jones. He had a great year. It all fell apart though, unfortunately. I guess, Scott, you might know more about this, but do you think this Achilles injury was just from him overcompensating with his right leg for because did he break his fibula, his left fibula? This is his other leg thing.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about this because they were trotting him out there on that fractured fibula on the opposite leg, and that can only lead one to believe that he's favoring the other leg. And even though these non-contact Achilles injuries tend to happen obviously in a somewhat random fashion, at least I personally believe it makes sense to me that if you're favoring one over time, through the course of a season, doing these reps over and over, it's going to weaken that one a little bit more. He's already not feeling 100%. He's not dialed in on just playing because he's guarding the other leg. So I feel like you could argue Indy kind of mismanaged this injury situation with him, and it's sad to see him go down in a way like this, because this is a way he went down on the Giants. Coming back from, I think it was the concussion, and he had an ankle that year, and then he tears his ACL, and that was 2023 when the Giants just completely fell apart, and it just feels all too similar to that. In this game, it was it even when he was in there, it didn't feel that close. He had an interception. The final score is 36-19. The Colts are only a game behind at 8-5, but it really feels like this season is over, like you said. And a 9-month recovery from the Achilles would put him at around August, and maybe quarterbacks can come back a little bit faster, but this is just going to hamper him in next year. And I don't know, Dan, do you think the Colts are in trouble for next year?
As far as next year goes, I mean, to me, they could turn it around by drafting somebody, because I'm not gonna let Daniel Jones.
They don't have a first round pick.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, that's the thing. You were able to get Sheduer later on either, but it's I mean, so who knows? But as of right now, you have to bank on Richardson for now. Do what you got to do and just make it work. Really, I think Richardson now realizing that they're gonna make it work as much as they can. I just had a funny comment go to my head, but
No.
Sure.
The comment was it's that you notice how I remember, what was it, the new CEO for the Colts, how she went and she was just like, oh yeah, this is it. We went into the field and she's like, we look at everything. We make sure we pay close attention to everything. And we know exactly what we need to do and what we need to get done. It's like, we're back to the regular Colts. It was like nothing changed. And that's the sad part about it. Just because, I feel like it's always the Jags that end the Colts season. And
Yeah,
again, here we saw it again. So, it just made me chuckle because I was just like, damn, they really came in here just like, we're the answer. It was the same answer. So,
yeah,
and as far as next year goes, I think Richardson could turn it around if they show him that, like, yo, they're willing to just not start him, even though he was a first round pick. And I think everybody was like, oh, you get like that guaranteed. We have to try you out for a couple years. It's like, no, they're not. They're not doing that there.
yeah. I mean, it feels
That
like he
on
hasn't played a full season.
to add on to what you're saying too, it's like weird how they're trying to carry him as like a backup quarterback, the main QB too, and he's on IR right now. He hasn't even been playing, so why is he on injury reserve?
Mm-hmm.
It just seems
Yeah,
it seems insane to me. He just can't be available to them as the backup. Actually, like take everything in as a backup and be ready to go because they could have used him today. But what is he doing? He's on injury reserve.
yeah. Very, very
That's just
odd.
frustrating. From the availability for him is just frustrating, and how like if he's even
I know
committed
you
to
were
this
big on him,
constant.
Joey. You were big on him
Yeah, I
when he
I
still am.
was too.
I still am. I still am big on him. I still have all my Anthony Richardson stock. It is, on the side. It's on my taxi squad. I am barely carrying it on my team, but I am hopeful. I am hopeful. This, I guess, the way the season ends, and then next year. I mean, he probably bought himself a roster spot for next year because it's lining up for him to be the starter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he has a chance to really rewrite the script of his career going forward. I think they can
Mhm.
activate him off IR for this upcoming week. He'll be plugged back in, I imagine. I mean,
Especially when Tyler Warren is your quarterback two as of right now.
Yeah,
shout out Riley Leonard though, the
yeah.
Notre Dame
Riley
legend. He
Leonard.
played pretty.
He
He
was
played
okay.
pretty decent today. He
I
wasn't
will
bad.
say, just to get thrown against a Jacksonville defense like that, they were
Yeah.
mauling. They were going for blood today, and they were trying to make a
Yes.
statement. And he stuck in there for a minute, and it sucks because like
That's
JT seemed like he fell off a little bit today. But I feel like now that everybody realizes that he's the thing that you need to stop just to put the pressure on the quarterback. Like it's just a different story. That's why Richardson right now, I feel like could be so good if he just like was consistent. But if you think about it too, right? Think about it, right? Like how our like mental maturity, he's younger than us
yes.
Yeah,
with
That
millions
also
of dollars.
yeah. To talk about the Jags though, like this is like another example of them. They're like they come into these games and you can see they play with an edge. I feel like the edge they played with was similar to what Detroit played with against Dallas. Like they came in, they knew what they had to do. They knew how important of a game this was. This was a playoff game. This is for their division we're talking about. Like they could be knocked out. You know what I mean? So I thought it was a credit to them for how well they played and then how well Liam Cohen has them ready to like prepare to play every day. I feel like they're rounding into being a pretty good team. I feel like what else do they need?
yeah. I'm intrigued in the future. I suppose I still want to continue to see it like moving forward and see what it looks like in the
You can see it on
playoffs.
the
And
field today. See it on the field earlier the year,
yeah,
like this season. Like
yeah. They've been solid,
they
and
play violently.
it looks like the AFC South too. We'll see as the night goes on and how the Texans look to see how that conversation evolves too. But I say we move on to the next
Speaking
game, and that game.
speaking of the Texans, we're in the red zone.
Go ahead. What's up? A little update.
Speak, Speaking of the Texans, they are in the red zone right now.
They're in
About
the
to
red
score.
zone. Okay.
Nice.
You can move on though.
All right. So moving on to the next game. This was Packers and Bears. Dan, this was your game as you were very invested into the Bears this season. So what was your reaction to this game?
Let's get to this ish,
Yeah.
okay? 'Cause I'm here for this one. Let's get to so guys, Packers Bears. Okay, let's be so for real here. If you were a Packers fan, you were clenching your cheeks the entire game because Caleb Williams was absolutely dicing you up for a hot minute. Okay. The fear that I've seen from Caleb throughout the season, it was not here today. The poise, the being able to like can keep himself controlled in especially a very aggressive, blitzing Packers defense. They were going after him tremendously, and he was throwing dots. I'm talking about sidearm
Yeah.
bullets to Zacchaeus. Like, imagine Odunze in this game.
Yeah, it would have helped.
Luther Burden came in at the right times that were needed, and he was actually able to like move the sticks. Swift, Monongai, absolutely saucing. And the thing is that now Jordan Love if Jordan Love had an actual wide receiver, I had that point right here that the Packers are one wide receiver away from being something dangerous. And why is because I'm not saying Matthew Golden is the number one right now. I'm not saying Christian Watson is the right guy for the number one right now. They have a lot of great number twos. And I'm being so for real about that. I'm being so for real about that. Mm-hmm. And okay, and going on with that, right? So going with that, let's see. Let's go to the stats here, chat. Okay. Packers coming out with 337 total yardage. Bears coming out with 315. Bears had the time of possession, but the only issue is that I saw this game was the Bears were not able to put themselves in position to get the first downs when needed. They went 8 for 16 today on third downs, 50%. For that, they went 1 for 2 for fourth downs, 50% as well. And they're 2 from 4 for the red zone, again 50% from that. You're not going to do anything in the playoffs going into Lambeau like that, you know. I think personally also the home field advantage the Packers had did play a significant role. You saw today people were slipping all over the fields. The field conditions were crazy. So, but again, I'm being so for real. When you have more Odunze and Luther Burden as your three, it's a real big difference from Luther Burden to Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus is still a solid receiver, and he was throwing, and they were still able to score on them the way they did. But again, for Caleb to be scoring, it was 21, right? It was like 21 to 28, I think. Yeah, 21 to 28. So, Scotty, I'm not gonna lie. I think that was my prediction flipped.
Yeah, I think you're right.
What was it? But what got me with this whole thing is how Caleb in like necessary moments where he was having to try to run or make moves or make shifty, like he did it. The Packers defense is what's going to kill them in the season, in the playoffs. I promise you right now. It's not going to be the offense and Love, and that's what's going to get me is because I bet you, if they don't make it far in the playoffs or they get knocked out of the playoffs, the question is going to be, oh, this offense. And I said it myself, they're one wide receiver away. But the Packers defense has been letting up like 3 scores at least a game, like pretty consistently. You know what I mean? They got stopped consistently against the Eagles, but the Eagles also shut down the Packers offense. So that's where to me it's like, how come in a game like this where the Bears were able to come to Philly and did what they did, but then the Packers now play lights out? Like what is this Packers team different from 2 or 3 weeks ago? You know what I mean? And I think personally it's just the momentum they have, and or because we played at Lambeau. It wasn't in Philly. So that's why I say it's like they play up to their competition and they just play different when it comes to the rivals. But give the Bears one more year, Lord have mercy. Oh my God.
Quote that.
Oh my God. Yo, quote that shit for me. Give the Bears one more year. Oh my God.
Make an edit. Scott, make an edit and post it on Twitter.
I'll work on it.
Give the Bears one more year.
I thought
that one dude.
I thought one thing that was maybe I don't fully agree with is I think Christian Watson looks pretty good right now. I mean, he's not.
He looks good every year. He looks good every year.
I think it's just with him is he healthy? You know, is he like actually out there? You know,
he is. I think he is a great fantasy. He is a great he's a great end of the year fantasy receiver pickup.
No, this year it feels a lot different with him back on, like, because they didn't have him the first half of the season. When he's come back, I feel like it solidified this offense a little more, especially in the passing game and the deep balls. Because he can do everything for you, it seems like.
Yeah, and maybe every Toyota-thon, that's when Christian Watson, decides to come back. But I agree. I think it feels different with him. And I think we should be fair to the Packers. I think the Bears look really good, and I have thoughts on them. But in the past 3 weeks, they've beat the Vikings, the Lions, and the Bears. And
All right, the Vikings. The Vikings were like, we're 50-50 on that right now at number 9.
I'm only saying they defeated the entire division, and now
Yeah.
they got a reasonable schedule up ahead: the Broncos, the Bears, Ravens, and Vikings. But I think this is a indication that they should be the favorite to win the division. They are ahead of the Lions, and they don't have to play them again, so that helps. And I think they are getting some pieces back. But in terms of the Bears, I'm in no way disappointed by this loss. The way they fought back, and for the most part, they forced a turnover early in this game on defense that kept it a lot closer than I think it would have been off of Jordan Love. And then they were able to run the ball really effectively in the fourth quarter and the third quarter as they were coming back, which I thought was really, really good for them because it showed that, they're not going to abandon their identity when they're losing just because, you might fear that you're going to chew too much clock. They knew it's what they're best at, and they got down the field and they scored. And then Ben Johnson pulled the rabbit out of the hat on the third down call to Colston Loveland with the play action play. He's even the fourth.
Tough.
He's like another option for them, and I just think the whole operation looks really good, and they're definitely capable of beating this Packers team. And when you mentioned there's no Rome, it really solidifies that because Caleb was you were right. He was not afraid of this challenge. He took it head on and he avoided Micah Parsons a couple times. I thought he looked really good. So I think both teams are, it's kind of hard to come away from this feeling too bad if you're a Bears fan.
I think we have a key point we're missing here.
What's that?
And I think it's the last play of the game. I feel like when you look at the,
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was about to talk about that.
They were in the red zone, and it seemed like Caleb Williams made the wrong throw. It looked like DJ Moore was wide open at the first down marker, and he completely whiffed on it, going towards the end zone. I feel like if he had DJ Moore running under, he just hit DJ Moore. It's probably a touchdown. Probably have overtime in that game. So Caleb Williams, it really was a read off. I feel like for him, I feel like he's processing things faster, and I feel like that shows because he's being able to escape the ball, the pocket now. He's picking up timely yardage. He's not taking as many sacks as he did last year. But once it starts clicking, him and the timing of the offense, hitting these receivers, that's gonna be, when he's fully unlocked, the arm talent. Because I feel like he could be skittish at times or not fully confident when he drops back. That's why he's looking to run.
Really hesitant. 100%. I fully agree. I wrote that in my thing saying, Caleb one missed throw. Caleb's missed throw had me excited, and the reason I had me excited is because it showed me he's still learning. That he's still this isn't his ceiling. Yeah. If he didn't fuck up and he didn't make that mistake, I would think to myself right here, right now, he figured out the offense, everything going forward, and had me shit bricks. But I saw the same thing. That when I saw him miss that easy throw because he was trying to go for the win, it showed me for the playoffs. I'm excited to see what that fucking looks like now. And going forward with Caleb Williams. Because now you see Ben Johnson and him, they're figuring it out together.
Yeah.
Yes. You can see their trust going more and more each week. I feel like Ben Johnson didn't really love him at first, but I feel like now they're growing in together with their relationship. It's improving.
Yeah, and he looks really
fast. Guys agree?
Yeah, I think that's part of his speed is knowing when Coach Johnson wants him to scramble when he wants him to extend a play and all those sorts of things. He's really decisive and twitchy, which is one of the best traits you can have. So it looks. I would agree.
He's the
All right, well that's enough. Packers Bears. That was a really really good game. And they play again in 2 weeks, so it's not over yet, Bears fans. You get one more shot at home, and we will be following very closely. But it's time to move on to what was also a very great game, except this one took place in the AFC, and that was the Bengals and the Bills. The Bills were able to win this one 39-34. They rise to 9-4 on the season, and the Bengals fall to 4-9. This was a snow game, and that's always pretty epic. You always love to see that, especially with two quarterbacks of this caliber, and they went at it today. the Bills were down 21-11 at half because the Bengals scored on their first 3 drives, and the Bills went for it trying to respond the third time around, and they couldn't get it on the Cincinnati 43-yard line. And the Bengals, through that first half, through T. Higgins, Chase Brown, it seemed like they were moving the ball however they wanted. T. Higgins had that awesome one-handed touchdown catch. But in the second half, the Bills started coming back. They scored on their opening drive and then forced the Bengals to punt. And on the next drive, the Bills get up to the red zone, and a 24-yard James Cook rushing touchdown is called back due to a holding call. And they get down to the 2-yard line anyway, so they're about to punch it in and make up for that, and then James Cook fumbles, and it's recovered by Cincinnati. And it's looking really rough right now because the Bengals turned it around and scored and made it 28-18, and it's the fourth quarter, and it doesn't look like the Bengals offense can be stopped. And out of nowhere, it's a little over 7 minutes left, and there's a 3-point lead for the Bengals at this point because the Bills would score in the responding drive, and Joe Burrow throws a pick six and turns the game on its head. Now the Bills have a 31-28 lead, and on the first play of the next drive for the Bengals, in response, Joe Burrow throws another interception. And it's just crazy because I don't remember the last time I remember 2 interceptions happening so quickly, except I think it may have actually been this season, Tua versus the Browns defense. Just a pretty wild sequence of events for the Bengals to, be up 28-18, and now you're down 31-28. And then, or you're not down, you're still leading, but they have the ball, and Josh Allen with a 40-yard rushing touchdown just goes Superman on this Bengals defense. There was nobody on the left side of the field. They must have been running man or something. And they take the lead. The Bengals fight with a one more T. Higgins touchdown towards the end, but the damage was already done, and the Bills were able to score. And it's just crazy that the Bengals lost this game, going 10 for 12 on third down, having less penalties than the Bills. But the Bills on their way coming back, those 2 interceptions, and going 3 for 4 on fourth down was huge. So I just kind of want to ask you guys, did the Bills prove anything to you in their fourth quarter comeback versus this Bengals team?
Before I even answer that question, I just can't believe you just said, I can't believe the Bengals let up that lead against the Bills. The Bills should never have been down. The Bills literally should never have been down this game. You are at home in the snow. That is Bills. That is the Buffalo Bills motto, signature, classic. That is the Bills. And you're like, we're struggling here, chat. Like, that's not what the Bills do.
You picked them to win. You picked the Bengals to win. You both did.
Yeah, of course we did. But that's because Joe Burrow came back. I thought it was going to be a trap game. And guess what? They were getting trapped there for a hot minute.
Yeah.
It was the Joe Burrow meltdown in Buffalo. He had a meltdown in the snow game. I feel like, you mentioned, Scott, the 2 interceptions that quickly. I think the same thing today happened in the Seattle Falcons game with Kirk Cousins. He threw 2 quick interceptions in the second half against Seattle as they pissed that game away. But I feel like this was more of the Bengals choking the game away than it was the Bills winning. What do you think?
Yeah, no, that's probably how I would look at it as well. Because look at it, right? The Bengals defense, what?
Gave up the lead. Yeah.
The pick six was a nice play by the Bills defense that the Bengals defense didn't have in this game. It's not like that.
Your top 3 quarterback, Joe Burrow, the Mr. I can't do no wrong, is the one that threw it.
Outside of the 2 interceptions, he scored on pretty much every drive of the game. Why aren't you looking at the Bengals defense that let up a 40-yard rushing touchdown to Josh Allen when they still had the lead? I agree. The Bengals choked for sure. I'm just definitely not going to blame Joe Burrow, who put up 34 points. They shouldn't have had to throw the ball in those situations. But yeah, if you don't want to credit the Bills, I brought it up before the preview this week. I understood you both I saw the potential for this too. You both picked it to happen. I just said like the Bills are the more buttoned up team, and they get that pick six, and I was like, yeah, it kind of adds up that this was a crazy game, and they just made one more play. I think both quarterbacks played well overall. It's just can't win a game if your defense lets up 34 points. It's just 39 in Joe Burrow's case. But you guys aren't excited about the Bills' offense now? I mean, I thought they looked pretty good. Josh Allen on the ground and James Cook.
No game, and it was the worst defense in football.
I was about to say, like, to me, it's like it's the worst defense in football. You go up against any playoff team as of right now, like that are in the AFC. You're not doing the same. You're not running 40 yards.
They forced 5 turnovers versus the Ravens is why I think it's interesting. And we thought, maybe
Ravens are a playoff team.
No, I understand, but they were potentially a playoff team by the end of today if they had just one catch overruled in that game, most likely. They got embarrassed by this Bengals team. So I think the Bills just clearly established themselves above those bottom feeding AFC playoff hunters, if that makes any sense. And I think they're 9-4. They're not going to win their division, but they're probably going to be the first wild card team. And I just think they may have re-entered top 10 territory, but that should be a discussion for another time, I think. So let's move on.
I'm on board.
Let's move on to the next game. And this is your game, Joey, and you actually mentioned it just a few minutes ago, and that is Seahawks Falcons. The Seahawks won 37-9. What did you think of this one?
They would predict something like that.
I think you might have.
What? Me?
The score.
I probably had something close to this. I'd have to imagine.
So?
But yeah, I mean, I'd have to go back and watch. I forgot to write it down. But for this game, Sam Darnold looked great. He was 20 of 30. He had like 250 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did have an interception, but JSN. Every time I watch Seattle play and I watch Jackson Smith play football, I'm just so impressed with how good he is, and I'm like,
yeah.
Garrett Wilson did say out of all the guys that were on Ohio State, he thought that JSN was the best out of all of them.
He has a real argument to be the best receiver in football. I feel like. Do you guys agree?
I mean,
he's kind of entering that territory.
Because I'm not gonna lie to you, well, I'll say this right here, right now. JSN build is exactly like Justin Jefferson, if not the same.
Yes. Yes, it is.
I don't know if that's 100% true. I think he's a little stockier, and Jefferson's a bit like lankier. Isn't Jefferson like 6'3", and JSN's what?
All right,
like 6'1"?
I'll look up JSN. You look him up.
I'm pretty sure he's like Amon-Ra is like his pro comp. I'll look up Justin Jefferson, just so we have the facts. What's he listed at?
6'1". We're looking at 6'1", 197 for JSN. So it might be a little smaller.
Yeah, and you get different.
Justin Jefferson's also 6'1".
It says he's 6'1", but he's also been listed as 6'3". But he's definitely.
I just feel like they're both very silky players. Would you agree?
The way they run their routes is extremely fluid, and I feel like
similar to CeeDee Lamb. This is a CeeDee Lamb build.
I think CeeDee Lamb is a lot more physical, while JSN and Justin Jefferson, they run their routes so smooth that it's hard to track.
Jefferson's arm length is 33 inches, and JSN's are 30.5. I think he's a bit like of a beefier guy. Like his acceleration, like when he caught that touchdown today, is really crazy. But it's also like it looks like he's really hard to tackle. Like he looks pretty strong for his size. Where I think Jefferson is a bit more like twitchy and kind of like subtle
like his
separation.
Catch radius is a lot big, yeah.
Exactly. Whereas he's more of a possession guy. Where JSN, not that. I mean, Jefferson gets separation too, but I think JSN gets it through the quickness and being like physical underneath and that kind of stuff. It kind of I think Amon-Ra really reminds me of JSN, but I think JSN's faster. I think he's entering the top 5 territory for sure. I don't know.
He's 100% a top 5.
Yeah,
100%.
I would say Jefferson, Chase, and then you get into the conversation of Puka, maybe
Puka's in there.
Nico Collins, CeeDee Lamb, and then like JSN,
Jefferson, Chase,
Amon-Ra. Those are 5 I would say are in that discussion.
It's Jefferson, Chase, CD, JSN, and then pick your fifth guy. I don't even care. Those are my top four.
I would say Puka's better than CD.
I'd agree. I forgot Puka. Puka's probably the best out of all these guys.
Puka might be the best.
Probably,
He really might be. Puka reminds me of Larry Fitzgerald. That's who he reminds me of.
Puka's a demon.
He's just
back to this.
a demon.
Let's get back to the Saints Falcons.
Yeah.
Let's get back to this matchup though. This game was pretty close. I feel like the first half, I forgot to write down the exact score, but the second half started off a kick return by Seattle. Shaheed took the ball. Yeah, he took it to the end zone to open up the second half, and it was just a slow bleed for the Falcons offense. It seemed like Seattle made the necessary adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
They made the necessary adjustments that they needed in the second half, and they just completely started taking the ball away from Atlanta. And I had a note here. Well, for this note, Kyle Pitts played well today. He had 6 catches for 90 yards. I feel like he's finally kind of showing you. He could do that every week if you chose to throw the ball to him, I feel like.
I agree.
My last note of this game was Falcons dead, Morris fired. I think Raheem Morris is definitely. It's unfortunate because I wanted it to work. I feel like they had the talent, but it's just it feels like there's no hope with this team right now.
I think Morris got forced into the head coach position way too fast.
He was the previous interim coach for the Falcons when they let him go. So then it was weird. It was weird in general that they rehired him after letting him walk from that instance. But it's just like similar to the Colts, except the Colts are 8-5. They're not 3-9 like the Falcons. The Falcons don't have their first round pick. That pick belongs to the Rams.
Yep.
So, and that's going to be a top 8 pick at this point, top 10 pick. So it's. I think you have to go along with that.
Who did the Falcons take from the Rams to get that first round pick?
James Pierce Jr.
Falcons. Yeah, they traded back into the end of the first round and gave up their first round pick this draft. It was just. I mean, I saw the vision because James Pierce was a guy, projected to go top 15 and he fell. But either way, I mean, those are 2 good DNs. It's just they're not winning. So you kind of have to fire this duo. And I think the biggest mistake that you can look at is just the fact how they signed Kirk Cousins to this long-term extension or contract, and then they drafted Michael Penix that same year. That's what threw this whole duo off, I feel like. And that's kind of what – it kind of put Morris in a bad situation, I feel like, because now he's got to answer for both these quarterbacks, like where their future is, what direction they're trying to take, because it's just misleading. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
It's just they killed their tenure with the Falcons right then and there when they drafted Penix.
Morris was the coach at the time, right, when they drafted Penix?
Yeah, they hired Morris that same offseason.
That same offseason, yeah.
Yeah, then they signed Kirk Cousins. They convinced him to leave Minnesota. Minnesota was still at the table at the time, but he got more guaranteed money in years from the Falcons, so he comes to Atlanta. But then Atlanta completely does a 180 and hey, we're taking we're gonna draft Michael.
We're gonna draft the future 10. As well.
We've never mentioned this to you, Kirk, but we're gonna take a quarterback here at number 8.
You didn't need to know that before you signed here.
Yeah, that wasn't important for your decision making process.
Yeah, definitely not. How ridiculous!
So I think that kind of that whole day, that whole draft, set back this franchise, and that they're going to waste all this talent. That
there's a lot of people that they could have drafted to really help this team, bro.
Yeah, because they have defensive talent, especially from this last draft class. I like a lot of their players. It's just the quarterback situation's messed up. The offense is highly questionable. Penix has mentioned previously how he has nobody to really look to for guidance when it comes to growing as a young rookie quarterback. So
sounds like a great.
I feel like there's enough.
Yeah, that sounds great.
There's enough there to just fire everybody, I feel like.
Yeah, does not sound good. Yeah, I think the Falcons are in trouble. And our next game has 2 teams that are also sort of in trouble, and that is Titans-Browns. The Titans won this game 31-29. Dan, what was your reaction?
It's my freaking thumbnail chat. So, what do I have to say about this? There was a freak on my notes. This is the second John I wrote down. Here we are, brother. All I say, I'll just say it right here, right now. Cam Ward's gonna have a better career than Sheduer, and I promise you that. Why? Would you rather have the Browns defense or the Titans defense? The Browns defense. Would you rather have the Browns receivers or the Titans receivers? Probably the Browns receivers. Would you rather have Judkins the way he is, and was it Sampson? I think is the number 2, or Pollard and Spears? Probably Judkins and Sampson. And the O line, would you rather have? They're both kind of dog water, but the Browns are a little bit better. And would you rather have Njoku and Hams Jr., or would you rather have what's his name, like Hen or Ken or whatever the case is, the tight end over there, and Okonkwo? I probably have the Browns receiver, the Browns tight ends. Let's be for real here. The Browns have more total yardage, more passing yardage, better percentage on third downs, better percentage on fourth downs. What's it called? One more sack given away, a little bit below when it came to rushing, and they had 6.7 yards per play. You would not think they lost the fucking game.
Yeah.
So, judging by everything I just explained to you, Sheduer has been given everything in this matchup between the two guys that they were shit talking to each other all off season before they got drafted. One went first round, the other one went what, 5th or 6th?
Yeah, 5th.
4th? 5th?
4th?
Yeah,
it was one of those two. But long story short, this dude Cam Ward, and I'm also going to blame the coaching, because how you going to take Sheduer out on the last play of the game when you were trying to go for the freaking, what's it called? The 2-pointer to go and tie it?
And Judkins misplayed it.
And yeah, he did misplay it. They made errors on that whole thing. That's what, to me, it's just like, I don't want to be better like that guy to be like, oh, it's just a Browns thing to do. But Sheduer threw for more, had more touchdowns, did everything that he needed to do with the better team. But Cam Ward was still able to come away with it with his running backs and his defense. Like for the most part and stuff, I saw Simmons, he got the sack, and then he did the whole Sheduer celebration, all exciting and everything. Yeah. So, but just overall, it was absolutely crazy to me, because I feel as if Cam Ward had this Browns team, we'd probably be talking about a different situation for the Browns, I feel like, in general.
Yeah.
We'd be talking about how the Browns are probably competing right now with the Ravens, maybe the Steelers right now.
I do think Shedeur Sanders played well today, though.
Yeah,
I agree. I agree he did 100%. But I also think it's crazy because one guy has been playing for the whole season and has been getting absolutely ran over and destroyed with a less elite team than Sheduer has. Yeah, less talented than Sheduer has. He got thrown in. We felt bad for him. Then we gave him another week. He's still making errors. Now you're playing against a team who's basically on the same level as you, but you're a little bit better. And you had weeks to practice. You played up to the potential, but you still lost. So it's like, I don't want to go and be like, oh, like, blame the Browns defense, because I'm never going to blame the Browns defense for a lot of things because of Myles Garrett. But in this case, how can we go and just, like, the Browns got everything in terms of stats on their side besides the time of possession.
Yeah. And, I thought the Browns should have won this game, going into it and, throughout most of it. Myles Garrett, he's at 20 sacks now. You mentioned him. He's like 2.5 away with 4 games left of breaking the single season record, which is pretty insane. And with all the plays the Browns made on offense, I would have figured that they would have won. I mean, at least for Sheduer.
I think he needs 4 sacks.
What's that?
I think Garrett needs 4, not 2.5.
The all-time record.
The record's like 23. The record's like 23.5. I think.
23,
right?
I thought it was
22.
No,
23.
You're wrong, Scott. You ever play Madden? They show you the records.
I know they show you the records.
It's 23.
It's 22.
You're wrong. Look at what did Stafford? What did
Michael Strahan and T.J. Watt have 22.5.
That's such a lie. There's no way that's true.
Well, you're in for a rude awakening after this live stream, but I was just trying to say how I kind of agree with you, Joey, with Sheduer to a degree. Like, I don't know. I think, it pans out that he's got a better defense, but he scored all 4 touchdowns for the Browns. I thought the throw he had to Judy on the 60-yard touchdown was on a rope in between defenders down the middle of the field in the sleet. It was raining. And the Browns, I mean, the way that they came back, I mean, I think Cam Ward's better than Shedeur Sanders, but it was really just two breakaway touchdown runs in the second half that, you know, put the Titans in striking distance of the lead late in this game. And my takeaway was I was actually surprised by Shedeur. I mean, I know this is probably the easiest matchup he's going to get, but just to see this out of that, like we could have seen 250 and 2 touchdowns on the day and been like, oh, that was a good day. You know, that wasn't a bad day, so that's a good day. Like, no, this was a 4 touchdown, game where he had like 350 passing and was the team's leading rusher. So I just felt like as much crap as Shedeur has gotten, I think he could
Want to give him a bone here?
give him a bone here. Just, I believe in Cam Ward more. I think personality wise that he will be able to overcome the deficiencies of the Titans compared to the Browns and have a better career.
And that's
I
what I'm
agree.
getting at. It's like it's a different situation when you go, right? Like in the Titans organization, they're willing to trade anybody and everybody besides Cam Ward and Jeffrey Simmons. While the Browns, like, they're not wanting to trade people like that right now. Like, they're just trying to build and build and build. And the Titans are literally like, we're trying to fix everything. And Ward, with not having any stats go for the Titans, will still be able to come out with this.
Yeah, it was.
And the only thing that mattered was the time of possession.
I have a live update. The Texans are up. The Texans are up 10-0 right now. Woody Marks had a receiving touchdown. They currently have the Chiefs' offense in hell. The Chiefs' offense is averaging 2.7 yards per play, and Mahomes might have just thrown an interception. It's going to be reviewed. It looks like the ball hit the ground, but Texans have the Chiefs in hell right now. But back to the Cam Ward and Sanders conversation, like talking about Cam Ward. Cam Ward, I feel like, has shown you a lot. Like, he flashes on plays, the talent, but I feel like he's not putting games together as part of, like we talked about. They don't have the talent. The O-line's pretty brutal. The right tackle, I think, was a first-round pick. He needs to be replaced. He's pretty awful. I forget his name, but he'll show you like why he was number 1 pick. But Sanders, I feel like, did everything he could have today to keep them in the game. I mean, they've had some turnovers. Both teams had turnovers, and like you said, Scott, they had like the big rushing plays that for the Titans that set them over. Where Sanders, I feel like, was taking them down the field. He had 360 passing yards. He had like a 97 QBR. I mean, it's pretty good.
Yeah. And his arm looked strong. It looked pretty live.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
surprised.
He looks like a first rounder.
Yeah, I
He
was
looks like a first round pick.
this is how it sounded like Mel Kiper was talking about him, not to give Mel Kiper any more attention than he already gets, but he planted his flag on Sanders, and I think it was just
They called it
they called it an interception, so the Chiefs are in a very bad spot right now. Anyway,
Texans have the ball at
midfield.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to our next game. This was a AFC North battle for first place, and that was Steelers-Ravens. And the Steelers would go on to win this game 27-22. The Ravens fall to 6-7, and the Steelers rise to 7-6, taking first place. In this one, I anticipated it to be a bit more of a defensive showdown than it ended up being. Things started off, though there were some mistakes and turnovers, things started off pretty live. Rodgers to DK was on fire today. Down 3-0 early. They led a strong drive down to the goal line after one of those passes. And then we got the Aaron Rodgers discount double check touchdown celebration after he took it in himself. I love to see it. Perk Rodgers is alive and well. He's here. And he was playing really good in this game, especially with his it seemed like he was really trusting DK. Yeah, if everyone can see, we got the Perk Rodgers Jets jersey right there. And yeah, it was just really mostly that from the Steelers offense throughout the game. They would get a field goal out of their next drive, and then in response, Lamar extending the play would lob a pass in the scramble drill, and it would be intercepted. And it's at this point where it really seemed like the Steelers were pulling away with this one. But Keaton Mitchell, I looked up at the screen and thought it was Derrick Henry, but no, it was Keaton Mitchell streaking up the sideline for the Ravens. down to the 5-yard line, and they make it 20-16. And the Steelers respond with a Calvin Austin deep shot and then a Jaylen Warren touchdown. So this is a back and forth competitive game. Like I said, I anticipated it to be a defensive showdown, but these two offenses actually found some success outside of some of their sloppy mistakes. The Ravens are down 27-22 late, and they get inside the 10-yard line. And then after a controversial a no touchdown call on an Isaiah Likely touchdown, would-be touchdown catch, the Steelers defense gets the stop. They would get the ball back with very little time, but they were sacked with no timeouts, and that's how this game ended. So overall, I thought initially, kind of as I prepared to pick all the games this week, I thought I would be picking the Ravens, and then I just thought about it more and more and how ugly the Steelers looked the Ravens against the Bengals the week before, and I thought, well, the Steelers gotta have the turnover battle in hand here, and that interception early on really allowed them to stay ahead and stay in their game script. So they've got a loose hold on first place in the AFC North. These two teams play again in the next 3 weeks. So we'll see if, maybe the Ravens can finally go to Pittsburgh and win over there. They still have the rest of the regular season schedules that they've got to play. But right now it looks like the Steelers are AFC North kings. So guys, what is our overall reaction to this? Joey, I know you picked this game with me, so why don't you just kind of build off of anything I was saying?
Started off, there's death. There's only 3 things guaranteed in life. It's death, taxes, and Mike Tomlin owning Lamar Jackson. I thought we saw that today. Mike Tomlin, we had all the rumors with Mike Tomlin, pregame or leading up this week, how the Steelers need to go in a different direction. What a way to silence that with a win versus the Ravens on the road. I'm wearing my Rodgers jersey just as a reflection. Like, we got to enjoy what we can with Aaron Rodgers. Like, you don't know, this could be his last year and whatnot. I just feel like we're going to miss him when he's gone. He's such a great player. And I thought the DK Metcalf thing, like, they were on one today. It seemed like there was a lot of talk about DK Metcalf and the Steelers receivers, and then being compared to George Pickens and what Pickens has done in Dallas. So I feel like, plus the guaranteed contract that DK has, I feel like there was a lot of talk about that. So they were trying to, have him break out, and they did. I would like to see them take more chances with DK. I will say DK does look slow, though. He looks slow as hell.
Yep.
He looks like he's got a.
He looks like he's having a hard time getting off breaks, having a hard time separating, having a hard time. It looked like he put some weight on, boy.
Yeah.
You know what?
He's got to unhook the trailer.
You know what I gotta
He's
say
eating
though?
more than just black coffee and candy now. He's actually eating for real meals.
You know what? What's really odd though? I almost thought that, like, even though he looks kind of slow, I feel like he looks a little more acrobatic because he's been working with Rodgers specifically, and he's been practicing.
It's contradictory.
It is contradictory that his top speed wouldn't line up with it, but it's two different kinds of athleticism to be. You're not practicing sprinting the same way you're practicing pirouetting through the air to catch a ball, and I don't really think with Russell Wilson, he was the best back shoulder guy. I think he was more of like an in the bucket, so DK just had to beat his guy. Now he can't really do that quite as well. Because his release isn't quite that fast, and he's got to win with his frame and his physicality, and it's actually something that you wouldn't think, but his contested catch rate was not that good coming into Pittsburgh in his last couple of years in Seattle, and I think just working with Rodgers, we saw it in this game. Marlon Humphrey's a good corner, and for him to make physical catches like that on timing throws away from coverage, I thought it was maybe a change in DK's game that we've needed to see if he was going to be a player for a long time. Because if he lost his speed, he wasn't going to have anything else.
I did see Rodgers try to give him a Tay throw. I did see that, and dude completely whiffed. I'm not even gonna lie to you. That was kind of like, it was kind of sad because I was kind of excited when I first saw that. What he does, where he goes instantaneous, hezzy step outside, and Rodgers with that quick 1-2, and he stares directly at it, and he puts on the money 90% of the time. And you saw DK like looking back with that step, turned and completely whiffed. I was just like,
it wasn't completely whiffed. It was a very tough catch. I was like, it was up there. He got his hands on it. He just didn't haul it in, which is like, okay. I mean, He's getting there. Most of the catches he did
there.
have were in the bucket passes, but they were like closer to the sideline. You know what I mean? Like the guy in coverage may have been like right around the corner. It was just very high accuracy throws by Rodgers today. I was honestly mostly impressed by him and the throws that he was making today because he looked as good as he's ever looked in the past couple years today on those throws. So yeah, there isn't too much to say about this game. And that's going to go for a lot of the games moving forward for the rest of the show. But at least this one was a big surprise to me and many others, and that was Bucs Saints. Joey, I know that you have some notes on this game, and I have some notes too, but I'm curious what your overall takeaway was from this game because I thought it was pretty weird. It was an ugly rain game, and I'm just wondering why you thought this happened.
Bucks Saints. Let me get my notes pulled up here, but yeah, this game, frustrating game if you're on the Bucks side here. They played just sloppy football. I feel like Baker started 8 for 8 in this game, and then the rain started to come down, and it all fell apart for them. They had just 2 fourth, like in short, around midfield that they went for, and they did not convert, giving the Saints the ball around the 50. The Saints quarterback, how do you say his name?
Tyler
Shuck.
Shuck.
Like
Tyler Shuck cooked. Yeah, Tyler Shuck cooked today. He had 2 rushing touchdowns. He took care of the football, and he had some timely first downs. I mean, he kind of played keep away with the Bucks, it seemed like. And the Bucks really just, I don't know. I really don't understand how they didn't have any answers for this team. Frustrating to watch as a guy that rosters Bucky Irving and Chris Godwin. I started both of them today. Godwin cooked the first half, then kind of disappeared in the second half. He looks kind of like, he looks a little compromised, I'd say, the fibula thing. I know he's not like listed as injury anymore, or he's going back and forth in practice, being limited to full whatever. He just doesn't look like the same guy I remember from last season, even though he's back playing. Bucky Irving, he kind of went down early, came back in the game, but they kind of went to a rotation. He had a hard time running the ball today. He had a big receiving touchdown, but on the ground he was averaging like 2 rushing yards a game early on. And then they went to like Rashid White started getting more active, but the Bucks just couldn't finish today. That's really what it comes down to. They had a chance again. They got the ball back with like 2 minutes left, and they couldn't get a first down against the Saints defense. So credit to the Saints. Obviously, it's a divisional game, so they know each other pretty well. The Saints are trying to knock the Bucks out. I remember, I think earlier in the year, the Tampa Bay official Twitter account. Yeah, but earlier in the year, the official Twitter account quoted Cam Jordan of the Saints saying something about how Cam Jordan said they're going to go back to being the same old Bucks or something like that. So they had like a screenshot of that. So good for Cam Jordan for standing on business today.
Yeah,
and beating the Bucks. Yeah. I wonder how the Saints social media team responds.
Yeah.
Good for the vet. Good for the vet. Love to see a W for a guy like Cam Jordan who was a 86 overall back in Madden 16, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I thought
now the Bucks and Panthers are now tied for that, number 1 spot, 7-6.
Yeah.
So
both 7-6.
Panthers have a real chance. I kind of hope to see the Panthers make a push here.
That would be exciting.
I would love that. And as for this game, just a little more on it. Shuck, I thought he doesn't look bad. I mean, he had an ugly interception early. It looked like it could have been a miscommunication with the wide receiver because it was just literally right to the Bucs defender. But outside of that, he had 2 rushing touchdowns in this game, and the one late was to take the lead, 24-17. That was clutch. It was like a 30-yard run. And Devin Neal, the running back that they took, he's not the greatest athlete, but he is a guy who's been proven to be a really reliable starter for them in Kamara's absence, and he was a big reason why they were able to have these consistent drives versus this Bucs defense that they couldn't get these drives going the first time they played around. The Bucs defense had like 2 touchdowns off of the Saints offense, and this time it's just completely different. And I think Shuck is 26 years old. So he's an experienced guy for a rookie, and I think that mixed with a reliable back like Devin Neal and just Kellen Moore and the offensive line meshing, just, you needed all that if you're going to win this game. And like you said, the Bucs just failed to execute. But I think it's time now to move on to the next game, and that is Dolphins Jets. Danny, this was your
Yep.
game.
Yep.
No, we're not gonna
Cut it.
skip. We're gonna talk about it because
It's okay. We could talk about it. It's a quick one. It's
a quick
definitely gonna
one.
be a quick one.
that's right.
An extremely quick one.
The Dolphins are still alive. They're in the hunt.
Yeah, the Dolphins won 34-10, and the Jets fall to 3-10, and the Dolphins are 6-7.
Yes,
The
Dolphins
Dolphins are going to have the same. They're going to have the same record as the Chiefs after this Sunday night game.
Maybe.
Yep.
That would be crazy.
Dolphins coming out
Maybe
350
your top 10
total
spot?
yards, 279 rushing yards, 5.7 yards per play. What's it called? 36 minutes time of possession, 4 for 4 in the red zone. You would think this freaking Dolphins team is absolutely like murderous, but then you realize they played the Jets. So, what did I take away from this? The Dolphins screwed themselves and shot themselves in the foot because A-Chain got hurt. The defense, like I feel like today was not really a good point for the Dolphins, because if the Dolphins want to grow, you don't really know where to grow because you look like you played like an elite team. But overall, that's just not the case. I think McDaniels right now is coaching like he's saving his job. I think Tua's playing like he's saving his job. And instead of the Dolphins getting better going into the future because of these moves, I think the Dolphins are just going to basically be struggling for more and more and more and more years to come. Overall, I enjoyed seeing what the Jets were doing because the Jets were just putting anybody and everybody out there. A lot of the starters were there, yeah, but like you kind of get to see, is Adonai Mitchell going to be good for you guys next year? Is Mechie going to be a solid receiver for you next year? Do you put Mitchell in the slot next year when Wilson's back? Like, yeah, I mean, like you're really going to test what you need going forward. And I think that being the case, I think whatever quarterback is drafted to the Jets this coming year is going to have the weapons that they need to be able to do something like efficient, I would assume, right? Because I think as a rookie receiver, I'd be blessed to say I have Garrett Wilson, Mechie, and Adonai Mitchell with how they're playing right now. But that's just my take overall. But absolutely disappointing game. If I'm a Dolphins fan, because that was literally just hurting my draft stock. That's all it did for me, because I don't really see the Dolphins are not making the playoffs. So
I'm not convinced that the Jets will go quarterback. I don't think they're going to force the pick. I think they're going to draft best player available. I don't think there's a quarterback worth taking that number one in this draft class. If I'm the Jets, I'm just going to continue to build my team.
I'm not going to lie to you. It's either going to be that or they're going to just say, fuck it, and get Archie Manning.
Because he's not coming out. He's not coming out this year, but they have going to have 2 top 20 picks. Just take the 2 best players.
I thought he was coming out this year. No. Never mind that, I guess.
No chance.
Yeah.
He didn't play well enough.
Is it because that draft stock went straight down for how bad he did this year?
Well,
probably. He'd probably be number 1 still, but he's just not coming out yet.
He should just stay in college and get better. I'd say it's never a bad idea, besides injury, but it's never a bad idea. You can always get hurt in the NFL too, so and then your career can just end there.
There's a silly.
Unless it's that guy from Penn State, that Allard guy who's a senior, but
he's not coming out either. He has an injury. He's out for the year.
Yeah, he tore his Achilles. I remember I watched that game.
But anyway, back onto the game. I just want to mention how Tyrod got banged up in this one, and then Brady Cook came in and he threw 2 interceptions. But during that, he also got hurt. So they had a drive without a quarterback, and it was just an utter disaster for the Jets. And I don't know what they do. I don't know what they do in the offseason. I have to see, what their plan is. I think they're going to keep Aaron Glenn, and I think that's a good thing.
I would.
I wouldn't.
You're the one who keeps picking them every week, saying they're playing hard for him.
Who?
This
you say that.
The Jets need to believe in somebody for like 5 to 6 years. That's what the Jets need to do. The Jets need to stick to one. The Jets need to go and commit to one guy for 1 year who could actually start to develop something. because I'm getting sick of this. The Jet, it's like you're basically trial and error for the Jets. It's like you go in there, you get 2 years. If you don't bring us to like third place in the AFC East, you're done. And it's like, no, you can't do nothing with this team right now. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I think they're in trouble, and I think the Dolphins are going to be in trouble soon too. Especially if they, I mean, they're trapped with Tua. They kind of have to keep him, but yeah. Well,
What do you guys think of Mike McDaniel and his job security? Is he like doing anything to save his job? You think, or
I think getting this win today is what's him basically saying I'm saving my job.
I think Tua's
getting the necessary wins.
I feel like we went into this year knowing the Dolphins didn't have enough, like they didn't have the talent. So why are we going to punish Mike McDaniel?
Yeah, I think it's Tua and some of the roster talent. They fired the GM, and they've been like 5-1 in their last 6 games.
I think it'd be a mistake to fire him. I kind of believe, right?
Yeah, it's pretty.
Because it's just similar to the Jets. It's just like the situation of Miami, like just let him continue to build.
Yeah,
don't do the turnover.
Yeah, look, turn over some
you
other.
You just
things.
said fire Aaron Glenn, bro.
Yeah, you did just say that.
I would fire. I just don't like Aaron Glenn. I feel like he's just very awkward as the head coach, and I'd never really understood why they hired another defensive-minded coach after firing a defensive-minded coach.
They're playing for him.
The problem was always the offense. So why are we hiring another defensive coordinator? It made no sense to me.
I understand.
I think that's probably like an ownership thing that he enjoys the strong Jets defense. I don't know if that's just been maybe like a history thing of the Jets always having like a scary defense, but it just doesn't work. Because Rex Ryan,
all right,
that dude was.
We got 3 games left, and we got to move on from this topic. So we're gonna these are some quick ones for the most part. So that's gonna start with Rams Cardinals, and this was just a massacre. This was Joey's game, but it was honestly pretty straightforward how this one went down. The Rams pounded the rock and did whatever they wanted on offense, and the Cardinals did what they did all year and came back slowly on defense. So Joey, did you have any major takeaways from this game between the Rams and the Cardinals?
Yes, I do. Started off, Michael Wilson. He is a number 1 receiver. Somebody go trade for that man and lock him up to a long-term. I feel like he could be like similar to that Christian Kirk. Remember when Kirk got out of Arizona? He signed a 4-year, $88 million contract with the Jags, and everyone was like, "Whoa, what is this all about?" And he played well with the Jags for those first few years. I wouldn't be surprised if Michael Wilson follows that same kind of format, because he's a guy that you could sign as like number 2 type of money, like not like top of the market, and he could be your number 1 receiver. So that's like a side note of mine for this game. But he scored first, and then it was a slow bleed after that. Complete terrible defense from the Cardinals. I feel like the Cardinals are a hard team to evaluate because they have so much talent, they just can't put it together. And I feel like that loss to the Titans game really broke this team. It felt like since that loss, they've just been dead.
I feel like
that was actually the last game College played.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Kyler too, he's done.
Feels like every week has broken this team.
Unfortunate. They got to be the most irrelevant team in football.
No, I think that's the Saints.
People talk about the Saints. I care about the Saints. Who cares about the Arizona Cardinals?
I think it's the Raiders because they don't have any future at
yeah, the Raiders.
They play in Vegas though, so they have buzz that way. We're talking about the Arizona Cardinals. When I play Madden franchise and I want to move a franchise, I always pick the Cardinals because that's the team that I want to go make my fake franchise and keep the other 31 teams in the league.
As a little teaser. I have thought about exploring this idea through a video, but the Cardinals franchise is cursed, if you did not know. They are actually a cursed franchise to never win a championship. So maybe they're doomed to
the video, Scott.
But that'll be another thing we come back to for another time. Rams, I don't think anything more got proved that we didn't already know about them. So I don't think there's a whole lot to say about this game. It's just on to the continuing battle for the NFC West for the Rams. And moving on to the second to last game. Update.
The Chiefs just missed a field goal. It's about to be halftime. 10-0 Texans.
Sounds like them. They're gonna do some voodoo shit and then come back in the second half.
Buddy, you wish it was 24.
It's strange how it's still 10-0, even though it's been that. But
The Texans just need one more touchdown to average like 16 points against them. So if they get one more touchdown, it's out of reach for the Chiefs.
Well, let's finish the show so we can all get on to watching that game and seeing the epic finale to me and Joey's great confrontation surrounding the Chiefs. But without further ado, it's time to talk about Broncos Raiders, and there was really not anything exciting about this game at all. The Broncos, it was looking pretty similar to the first matchup. Kind of early on in this first quarter, the Raiders were able to match them with a Bowers touchdown early, but after that, it was just really downhill for this Raiders team in every possible way. Geno Smith was knocked out in this one by a big hit, and the Raiders weren't able to put any points on the board until late in the game when Kenny Pickett was in there playing. The Broncos had a 100-yard punt return touchdown by Marvin Mims, and Joe, you wanted me to mention how the Raiders spiked the ball and kicked a field goal down 24-14 at the end of this game and covered the spread, which is very, very suspect, very, very strange why you would do that. The legal answer is that for point differential, if that ever comes into play for playoffs, you'd want to do that. And maybe it has to do with draft capital because the Raiders are obviously not going to make the playoffs. So unless if you're doing this intentionally to just try to screw the Broncos, there's no motivation for you to do that at all. So that is very odd. The Raiders had less than 250 yards of total offense in this game. They were 3 for 9 on third down, only 9 third down opportunities, and they only got 3 of them the whole game. And the Broncos in this game possessed the ball roughly 40 minutes to 20 minutes, so they had the ball twice as long. It was just a really, really nasty game to try to follow because, like I said, there was no point in time where it seemed like the Raiders had a chance to come back. The final score was 24-17, but like 2 of those touchdowns were scored by the Raiders, or 10 of those points were scored at the very end of the game with the field goal and that late touchdown. So just really a nothing game. And honestly, I don't really got a question for you guys about this because like the Rams, I don't feel like the Broncos really proved much of anything besides they took care of business in this game. And I think it's appropriate to move on to the last game. Any objections?
I guess I do have one. I guess I do have one question. Is do we not have an issue that the the Broncos defense allowed 17 points?
No,
to
I don't. It was like so late in the game, they had them like pretty much shut out for the most part. They had it 24-7 in the fourth quarter, and so it's garbage time, 10 points. The late touchdown was with like 3 minutes left in the game. Like, that's true garbage time. That's not like what the Giants were doing or what the Broncos did to the Giants, where it was like you kind of had a sensation that they could come back with this Raiders team. Like, there was no belief that Kenny Pickett and, this Raiders offense were going to, put themselves in position to win this game. Because, like Joey, wanted me to mention, they were down 10 as they were driving down the field at the end of the game. And if they didn't score, they would have been down way more. So, sorry for snapping at you, but no, I don't have an issue with it. Because you always have an issue when a defense lets up points, like it's not supposed to happen ever, And I'm like, sometimes you're right, but sometimes I'm like, in this case, I'm like, nah, like it's not like it wasn't like that. But why don't you lead it? Why don't you take us away with the final game, which was the legendary showdown of JD 5 minutes of the game and 9.
Yo, I'm not even gonna lie to you. The fact that this is the last game we talk about is absolute crazy work because this game pissed me the fuck off, if I'm gonna be honest with you. The fact that JJ McCarthy thinks he's now on demon time and he's that guy. I know he got a QB rating of like 129 or whatever, and I think for a combined total score of Marcus Mariota and Jayden Daniels, it was a combined of like 80. I think Jayden Daniels got 50 and Marcus Mariota got 35. It was absolutely horrendous this game, watching the 70% Commanders play against the Vikings today. Overall, it absolutely irritated me because 9 threw for 163 yards today. They won 31-0, guys.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like, I am agitated that this will go as a win that he made when it wasn't even him that did it personally. Vikings got a total of 313 total yards. Commanders got a total of 206. Let's see. 3 touchdowns thrown from Jayden McCarthy today with 4 sacks on him. And yeah, that was really all my notes, guys. I'm not even gonna lie to you. That game, this is part of the reason why it agitated me, right? It was the absolute unnecessary tackle made by the Vikings to Zach Ertz's kneecap to absolutely ruin my teenage years in one of my favorite players. Dude, his leg whipped around his shoulder. How bad that was. And then
MCL
Daniel,
gone.
yes, like
over.
eviscerated. And then like I don't know how you come back from that. But then Daniels, after throwing that interception, what's it called? That I'm not even gonna lie to you, yo, Van Ginkel read that shit like a mother heifer, bro, and made a great play. And Daniels, yo, tried to get the tackle. He got absolutely pressed by the ex-Eagle Isaiah Rodgers. I think he had a little bit of frustration from the year beforehand that he wanted to let out, and absolutely Reed did something to freaking Jayden Daniels' elbow again that he got knocked out of the game. Personally, I don't think the Commanders should be letting that man step on the field for the rest of the season. Yo, I swear to gosh, I hate that guy.
How does that
That
even?
guy.
How does
Year 2, Jayden Daniels.
That guy
This
frustrates. Yeah, that guy frustrates. Yeah. It just irritates me, yo. And yeah, I'm not like they should not let Daniel step on the field for the rest of the year. I believe RG3 got PTSD or something because he actually tweeted out saying that Daniel should literally not be stepping on the field again. He should be staying on the sideline to get healthy for next season, which they either are going to ask a lot of questions about why the defense led up 31 points to number 9. So, especially with a defensive-minded head coach like Dan Quinn, Joey did ask a good question whether or not Dan Quinn's going to be on the hot seat. I remember last podcast. And personally, after a performance like that, he would have been fired yesterday. Like, that was absolutely ridiculous. Like, the Aaron Jones Sr. was absolutely dicing everybody up. I saw like Naylor and Addison go crazy today. Like they didn't even use Justin Jefferson, which is what's like mind-boggling to me. Like how he was not available for them to use at all. And if you're gonna tell me the green script was just to not let Justin Jefferson get the ball, like that's crazy work. Like that you still couldn't get him the ball as your number one receiver. But that's just me. Overall, the question that I really have is, with a performance like this, does 9 save his career?
No,
this year?
never, not even close. No. I'm so
I don't
sorry.
want to see 9 start on a game. 9 is just Zach Wilson in disguise.
9 is out of like all the quarterbacks.
Why does this? So then, why does it seem like the Vikings franchise they believe in him? Like they're like, this is our guy.
They have to say that. They took him in the first round.
Hold on. I got.
You're right. They have to. You're right. They have to. But I'm saying they keep him next year. It's not just about saying it. It's about being about it now.
Why do the Colts have Anthony still?
I have the very definition of the reason. It's called the sunk cost fallacy. The phenomenon whereby a person is reluctant to abandon a strategy or course of action because they have invested heavily in it, even when it is clear that abandonment would be more beneficial.
That's why you saw Mozzie Smith traded and not cut, because they couldn't get themselves to cut him. They refused to do it, so they found a way to sneak him into a trade attached with 2 first-round picks to the Jets.
You ever start? You ever start a personal? You ever start a personal project, and or you get attached to an idea, and just slowly over time it seems less likely to come true, and you just do everything in your power to just dig your heels in.
Ding, ding, ding. This is the Chiefs with you, Scott.
Yeah, except there's also reverse fallacies for injecting all of your confidence into a guy who beats like a bunch of Commanders teams like this on his schedule and thinking that that team is going to win the Super Bowl. But I don't know what the definition for that kind of idea thinking is.
I
I'll
think he's
phrase
basically
it like
saying,
that.
Joey, that how we believe in the Seahawks and Sam Darnold. He's basically saying we're jacked up.
I'm
But
talking not about the Seahawks and Sam Darnold. They're my number 2 team. I'm talking about the Patriots. Played a bunch
Scott
of
lives in a
nobodies.
did you just say Drake May is basically beating a bunch of Commanders teams with Drake May?
That's
Drake May
that's
and
just
JJ
a jealousy.
McCarthy.
That's a jealousy of the Giants' failure to get one of these quarterbacks.
Drake May has pretty much beat a bunch of 9s this season, is the way I would put it. Is he beat a bunch of quarterbacks, led to teams that have guys like 9 playing quarterback for them, and you're ready to say that this is the next Tom Brady? And I'm like, yeah, I think I'm not ashamed that I pump the brakes, you know.
Do you watch him play football?
Yeah, he looks great, but I'm talking not about Drake May. I'm talking about the team. Yeah, some of that goes to Drake May, but yeah.
Let me ask you this. Who's going to be the 1 seed and who's going to miss the playoffs?
The 1 seed could be the Broncos or the Patriots.
And who's going to miss the playoffs?
Probably
That's
the Giants.
right.
Probably the Giants.
The Kansas City Chiefs, the team that you had at number 2 on your big board 2 weeks. What was it? 2 weeks ago, you had a team that was 6-5 at number 2. Now they're about to be 6-7.
Patrick Mahomes has accomplished more in one game than Drake May has accomplished like this entire season in just one of his Super Bowls. Where are
those accomplishments? Where did they have gotten him this year though? How they helped him? They're 6-7.
I'd say it helped him win 6 games so far. They wouldn't be winning those games without that.
They're only 3 games back in the wild card. They only need to hop.
All I'm saying is all of the hatred you had that you were ready to inject on the Commanders and Jayden Daniels this year. All of the reasons you were ready to doubt them and justify why they were going to regress this season. All are going to apply to the Patriots next year. So you just wait.
But guess what? You know why they don't apply? You know why they don't apply?
Because it's Drake May. No, it's a team sport.
It's a significantly better quarterback.
It doesn't just come down to quarterback. It doesn't come down to that.
But it's happened to Jayden Daniels. It's happened to C.J. Stroud. Now I'm curious, and the thing is already too, like Drake May, right? Unlike those 2 quarterbacks, Drake May
there
had
is no
absolute. Yeah,
he had this is just the first year he's good. It took him one. No, don't try to twist it taking 1 year longer for him to play like this into.
He had a dog water team and he had a whole different head coach.
Okay, Jayden Daniels had a dog water team last year. They're 3-10 right now. It's a terrible team.
He's still younger than Jayden Daniels was last year.
Yeah, that's cool, but I'm just saying the Patriots are no different.
Going to be out of the league in 5 years.
I'm not even debating.
He'll be in the Marcus Mariota mold, being a backup somewhere for the next decade because he's not a starter.
Keep talking to me about Drake May when I'm asking you about the Patriots. They've played a fraudulent Mickey Mouse schedule. I'm over it. I'm not afraid to say it. It's a lousy schedule, and I'm not crowning them for anything until I see it deep into the playoffs. So you know what? The playoff bracket sucks this year.
Chiefs, though.
The
Chiefs. Yeah. They only went 0-5 in 1-score games.
Playoff bracket sucks this year. Is it just because Mahomes isn't in it?
It's because all these teams are unproven teams. That's why.
It's because Scott is so afraid of change, and he has to have the same thing over and over again because that's how he's programmed.
I could say you are too excited by. I'll say you're too excited by new things.
The whole Joe Burrow legacy thing is just one run in 2021. You can't accept that.
Drake May.
This might be the first playoffs that we don't have Josh Allen, Mahomes, or Burrow.
Yes, it probably will be.
Josh Allen will be in it. This could set up for Josh Allen's Super Bowl run if we really think about it. With being in the
playoffs. That's a good insight. I'm not even gonna lie.
It should.
If with all, I bet you with like how much stock Scott puts into these quarterbacks, he's probably gonna pick the guy in the jersey he's wearing and win it all, or represent the AFC.
Maybe.
In the Super Bowl.
I might
because he can't look at the data of what these guys are doing this year because he has no data from years behind to look at that he can apply to this year from these guys. They've never done it before.
The data is he played a lousy schedule. He's the shiny new toy, and so are the Patriots, just like the Commanders were last year. And if you're listen to me, if you're willing to see that the Commanders had a Mickey Mouse run last year, there is not a single reason in the world that you shouldn't be looking at the Patriots team and saying that it's not Mickey Mouse. I don't want to hear that because Drake Maye is better than Jayden Daniels, according to you, that does not change the fact that they've played garbage teams. We simply have to wait until the playoffs to see when they play the best of the best, because it's not going to happen. The Ravens suck. We'll see what they look like against the Bills the second time around, but beating the Bills twice this season is not going to be anywhere close to what some other teams have accomplished.
Do you feel like the Commanders had a Mickey Mouse playoff run?
I think their playoff run was much less Mickey Mouse than their regular season schedule was. Their regular season schedule was a joke, but I thought the Bucs win was good.
Playing at the depleted Lions team.
That Lion
played the Bucs.
Here's the thing with the Lions. Yeah, the Lions game is tricky because like they had all those injuries, but people forget these injuries had accumulated like since week 11, and that team continued on to finish 15-2, beat the 14-3. You know, they became 14-3 because they played the Vikings. So what this Commanders team did wasn't something that was accomplished by, I can't even remember the two teams that beat the Lions in the regular season last year, but it's elite company. You know, what they did is still elite company in that Lions win. It's still a good first playoff game for them in that Bucs game. And then the Eagles, they were just not better than. That was that fully healthy Lions team, was that fully healthy Eagles team. You know what I mean? So I think the Lions would have beat them, if they were fully healthy, but they weren't. And it didn't matter for them when it mattered for other people. But nonetheless, we're a little off track. I say we close this out and save lives for the top 10 Tuesdays that we're going to be doing for the Week 15 NFL season. NFL season's Week 15. And, guys, please drop a like on the stream if you're watching right now. And if you're watching it in the future, drop a like then. That also helps. And make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any of the other live streams. Link in the description for that one dude. That's the guy to my left. And you can find his channel and subscribe to him there. And then, of course, Joey, he's just hanging out with us. Joey, say hi to everyone. Say hi. Actually, say goodbye.
I want to add on, Drake Maye is only 4 touchdowns away from passing Jayden Daniels his run last year with less turnovers. Just throwing that out there.
All right. Is that how you want to say bye to the audience? That seems pretty in character.
I want the audience to know Drake Maye is 10 times. He's everything that Jayden Daniels will never be in the NFL.
Well, now that my thing is now that Maye's set up his standard, I would love to see how he does next year. Do I believe in him? Yeah, I could see him doing it again, if not like keeping it consistent. But we'll see.
Question of the day. I want you guys to think about this till next time. Who would you rather have lead your team? Would you rather have Bo Nix or Jayden Daniels? Go think about that and then get back to me. End it there, Scott. Don't answer.
That's all for this one, guys. I'll see you in the next one.